I sit down at the table with her and started feeding her, and the lady came over and she said, if that we'd have to leave, we were disturbing her other customers, but Victoria's face was disturbing other customers.
On hearing the news, the family took to Facebook with this post, which reads, "Does this face look scary to you?" The person who posted this went on to say, "I will never step foot in another KFC." The KFC corporate offices did reach out to the family and responded to WJTV with a statement saying they have zero tolerance for any kind of hurtful or disrespectful actions towards their guests. And they are, quote, committed to doing something appropriate for this beautiful little girl and her family.
Now, a lot of you are sharing this story, and you're upset about it. Does this little girl, again, look scary to you? We're talking now with reporter Jennifer Ortega with WAPT in Jackson, Mississippi. A lot of you weighing in on Facebook as well. Let me read a couple here. Dick writes this: "I'm so sorry for what happened to you. First the dogs, then at KFC. Lisa wrote this: "I was working in the ER the night of the tragedy. She is a beautiful angel, and the ER team has been praying for you." And Julie writes this: "I think KFC is mortified. It was the act of an individual at a franchise. The company's probably angered that this happened." So there is that. Let's bring in Jennifer Ortega, as I'd mentioned. Jennifer, I think a lot of people want to know who raised a stink about this little girl just wanting some mashed potatoes at a KFC.
Well, it's a tough story. I mean, they just went in there after one of their appointments at the hospital at UMC in Jackson, and they went in thinking, you know, I'm just going to get her some food after this treatment. She's still eating through a feeding tube, so let alone they didn't order anything worse, like it's just mashed potatoes, no chicken, no anything. And she said it was going to be a quick stop. That's when one of the employees asked her, you know, can you please leave? There's other customers.
Yeah, and Jennifer, thanks, because that's part of the backstory. She's had surgery. She can't really chew. That's why all she wanted was some mashed potatoes, and Grandma wanted a sweet tea, and they're asked to leave. And really, the second infraction, I'm guessing it was a customer who complained, but then the employee could have said, "Sorry, customer, this little girl can eat," but the employee agreed with the other customer, it sounds like.
Right. The employee did go and ask him to leave, but I spoke to the manager there, and the manager says he had no idea that even happened. And he wouldn't tell me which employee, of course, but it just seems like the employee had very bad judgment whether or not to go up to this woman with the child.
Yeah, I mean, it's, as I'd mentioned, it's like this little girl was attacked twice, physically by the pit bulls, and now emotionally. Robbie Ludwig joins us now, psychotherapist. Her book is Till Death Do Us Part. And Robbie, let me read what the grandmother said, that this little girl she's embarrassed the way she looks, and she's 3. How traumatizing is an event like this? Because Grandma says this little girl cried all the way home after that incident.
This is so heartbreaking. And my first question when looking at this story is, where is human decency? Obviously, this girl has been through a physical trauma. Where was the ability of someone at that restaurant to say, let's have some compassion for this girl who's been through a lot? And so I'm glad that there is a happy ending to this story. But yes, kids at 3 years old certainly can register embarrassment about how they look and certainly can experience emotional trauma. So you're exactly right when you say that she experienced physical and emotional trauma as a result of her tragedy. And then this incident could stay with her a lifetime.
Yeah. Now, KFC, the company, they're on the side of this little girl. They're holding an investigation, and they've committed $30,000 to donate to the girl's medical bills. That's a good thing. Can a 3-year-old understand that a big company's coming along your side? Do they get that?
Well, certainly if an adult that she trusts explains it to her that the restaurant didn't feel this way, it was just one person who made a mistake, but in general, people support her and are backing her and want to see her get well, and to underscore her beauty both inside and out, and that we're working on getting her to feel as good and as healthy as possible. Absolutely, kids can understand that. And this is going to be a story that gets weaved into the fabric of her life. So as she gets older, she'll even have a more, intense understanding of what happened.
Yeah, we're looking at the Facebook page. It's Victoria's Victories. Last I looked, 63,000 plus likes. It's probably more than that now. And that's got to be another tool to let this little girl. So many people are with you. I mean, she wears an eye patch with a cartoon character on it. She's an adorable little girl. And I think she needs to know that. Robbie, your thoughts?
absolutely that she's beautiful inside and out. She has so many supporters, and maybe this will help this girl find her mission early in life, to be an advocate for kids who have been victimized in some way. So I always like to see somebody turn a difficulty into a positive. So maybe that will be this girl's lifelong mission, how to protect little girls like herself, because she's adorable and you can tell that she's physically been through a lot, but thank God with modern medicine we can fix almost anything.
There it is.
And then there's always hair and makeup.
That's right. Hey, Robbie, thanks again. You can read more at our website, HLNTV.com. Thanks to Robbie, as always, Jennifer Ortega as well, providing some more insight as well. All right, we also have this news from the Supreme Court on a wide-ranging impact on social media. Here's what we have. The court has agreed to hear the case that deals with social media and free speech. A man in the middle of a divorce posted threats to his ex-wife and others. At issue is whether the postings are criminal, and the court's decision on this could have far-ranging implications on postings on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, so on and so forth. Here's another story. Right now, a U.S. warship carrying hundreds of Marines and an aircraft is headed to the Persian Gulf, and they could be used to evacuate Americans from Iraq. Up to 100 U.S. troops are in Baghdad to help protect the U.S. embassy there. Now, the militant group ISIS, or the Islamic State of Iraq and Syria, has taken over parts of the country. My colleague Yasmin Vasugian joins me now. Give us the latest, Yasmin. What's going on here?
Mike, I don't think many of us are surprised by what's happening in Iraq. History has taught us, especially in this part of the world, that, you know, when we leave a country with an unstable government, the country is vulnerable to insurgents. Jonathan Mann from CNN International told us this.
This video posted on YouTube purports to show militant fighters in captured American Humvees firing their guns in celebration. Over the past year, the militant group has gained control of dozens of cities in northeastern Syria, and now, according to some experts, nearly half of Iraq.
Not only it controls 50% of Iraqi territories, it controls also large chunks.
So this is a terror group that was rejected from al-Qaeda, Mike. Now, the Iraqi government has now said they have shut down social media throughout the country. Their reasoning is to contain ISIS. Here's what we know. ISIS is very social media savvy. They've been recruiting fighters, posting tweets about their exploits, and interacting online throughout their move towards Baghdad. Now, watch this next video and pay very close attention to what you see. So right there, that's a video of an ISIS leader talking to supporters. Now notice how they all have their iPhones out, all recording the event. These fighters, they're young, they know how to reach the rest of the world, and they now have money. Now, this is the leader, Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi. He's educated. He was held in a U.S. detention camp in Iraq for almost 5 years until he was released in 2009. ISIS has tweeted mass execution photos and photos of decapitated soldiers in the last few days. And citizens in Iraq have taken to Whisper. Now, that's a social media app that allows users to share secrets anonymously because they are afraid. I believe, if you can see this, they say those are some tweets that they've posted, or posts that they've put on Whisper. And I believe they actually have access to this social media. Even though the country has essentially shut down social media, there's something called a VPN in Iraq. And if you're allowed to get around the firewall with a VPN, you can still post to things like Whisper.
Hey, real quick, what are the options to fix or control the chaos here, Yasmin?
So here's what's going on. The U.S. is actually meeting with Iran to discuss the nuclear issue this week. And Iran and the U.S. have very different opinions as to what should happen with the government, but not who should be ruling the government. So I actually think there might be a situation that has not happened since 1979 where the United States and Iran might actually have to collude on this to help rid Iraq of ISIS. But we'll just have to wait and see what comes this week.
Yasmin, thanks so much. Appreciate the update on that as the world really is watching. Okay, lightening things up, we're watching all that's going on Twitter. Again, this is the place you come every day for the most provocative, some of the funnier tweets, topics du jour, Game of Thrones finale, and Father's Day. Stick around.